Okay. Don't write anything, students. Okay. Fine. Okay. Wait a minute. Just give me a moment. I'm recording. Okay. I'm recording the things. Yeah. Fine. Just give me a moment, students. Okay. So I hope you have taken the things down. Now, this is something which is very, very important. So this is something which is very, very important. Okay. So sine of sine inverse x. Okay. Sine of sine inverse x is sine of sine inverse x. Sorry, sine of sine inverse x is equal to x always. But this x, e x yavat irutte, this is not the angles. Okay, these are not the angles. Okay, these x are nothing but belongs to domain. So what was the domain? Domain is in the form of numbers, real numbers. Okay, always remember, if you have it in this form, sine of sine inverse x, ee reeti enaದರೂ question ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ directly you can write whatever the value x has, check whether it belongs to domain. Okay, check whether it belongs to domain. Domain andre -1, 1 real number, any number. Okay, check whether ಆ particular function ಇದ್ದು domain ಒಳಗಡೆ ಈ values ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಬರೆಯುವಂತದ್ದು. Which means, for example, if you have sine of sine inverse half. Okay, for example, if you have sine of sine inverse half, whether half belongs to domain, half belongs to domain, students. Domain of sine inverse, what is the domain of sine inverse function? What is the domain of sine inverse function? The domain of sine inverse function, students, -1 to 1. Whether minus half belongs to the half belongs to the domain. The domain of sine inverse function is -1 to 1. Yes. So what should be sine of sine inverse half? It should be half. Directly you can write sine of sine inverse of half is half, because half belongs to -1, 1. Okay. I hope I have made clear what this means. Okay. Idra artha enu anta artha aitalla, why we are using this. So sine of sine inverse x anta helidre directly you can write x. Similarly with cos of cos inverse, tan of tan inverse, cosecant of cosecant inverse, secant of secant inverse, and cot of cot inverse. Okay. Okay, students. One more example. Okay, if I say say if I take cos of cos inverse, okay, if I take a cos of cos inverse 1 by root 2. Okay, if I take cos of cos inverse 1 by root 2, whether 1 by root 2 lies in the domain of cos inverse function, the domain of cos inverse function is -1, 1. Okay, the domain of cos inverse function is -1, 1. Check whether 1 by root 2 belongs to that domain. Check whether 1 by root 2 belongs to that domain. Andre 1 by root 2 -1 ಮತ್ತೆ 1 ನ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. What is the value of 1 by root 2, students? What is the value of 1 by root 2? What is the value of 1 by root 2? 0.707, correct? 1 by root 2 andre 0.707. So 0.707 belongs to this domain. So you can directly write it as 1 by root 2. So cos of cos inverse of 1 by root 2 is 1 by root 2. Hope this was clear, students. Hope this was clear. Okay, fine. Now, it's not angle atya. You are not supposed to write the angle over there. There, sine ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇದೆ. Sine inverse in a domain answer ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬರೆಯುವಂತದ್ದು. You should not write the angle. Okay, angle should be written here if it is in this form. That is, if you have sine inverse of sin x. Okay, because sine anta helidre yavaglu ನಾವು angle ಬರುವಂತದ್ದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ, we'll get angle. So sine inverse of something you'll get it as angle, because sine inverse function is defined from -1, 1 to minus pi by 2, pi by 2. Correct? minus pi by 2, pi by 2. So ಹೊರಗಡೆ sine inverse ಇದೆ. So ಒಳಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬಂದ್ರು ಸಹ that belongs to this particular domain. Correct? That belongs to -1, 1. Correct? So answer ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು? Where should the answer lie? Where should the answer lie? Where should the answer lie? Answer should be in the principal value branch. So if you have sine inverse of sine, if you have sine inverse of sine, the answer should lie in the principal value branch. Andre, you should get some angle. For example, sine inverse of sine pi by 3. Okay, if you have this value, sine inverse of sine pi by 3. Check whether pi by 3 belongs to principal value branch. Pi by 3 is 60 degree. Whether 60 degree lies in this principal value branch? Whether 60 degree lies in the principal value branch? Yes. So your answer should 60 degree principal value branch is -90 to +90. Okay, principal value branch is -90 to +90. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 60 ಇದೆ. So 60 ಇದರ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇದೆಯಲ್ವಾ? So directly you can write it as pi by 3. Okay, directly you can write it as pi by 3. Hope this was clear. So sine of sine inverse anta bandre illi values real number ಆಗಿರುತ್ತವೆ. Sine inverse of sine anta bandre whatever you have here along with x, write the same thing, but that x should belong to principal value branch. That x should belong to principal value branch. Okay, hope that was clear, students. Okay, so these things you need. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. Already these things you have studied in your first year class. You have studied all these things in your first year classes. So it's just that you need to know it again, because in order to solve the questions. Okay, so 57 members idira nim class alli, but I can see only 5 to 8 members answering for my questions. ಒಂದು 8 ಜನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಉಳಿದವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. As I've told you earlier, this is not a thing where you can just look and understand. You should work it simultaneously. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to understand it later. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so sine of minus x is always minus sin x. ಅಂದ್ರೆ sine of minus 30 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ you write it as minus sine 30 degree. Okay, and but cos of minus pi by 6, if you have, you can directly write it as cos pi by 6. The value is one and the same. That is